Hello and good evening. It is Sunday, September 12th, 2021, and we are here streaming live on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, as we have been for 10 weeks now, covering this season of Big Brother 23. I'm Dave Mader, joined with my brother Jeff Mader and co-host Jaemeel Robinson, as we will break down this coverage tonight. As we saw, now that we're down to the final six in this season, we are now getting down to it, as the cookout has no one else but to target themselves. And we're gonna get that all going here. Jaemeel, we've lost your camera. I'm Dave Mader. Jeff, how are you doing?
Good. Ready to talk about Kylan.
He's, what can I say about it?
I'm just irritated.
Yeah, he's just irritated with Tiffany. Jaemeel,
Yep.
how are you?
I'm okay. And yourself? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. And we are here streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version. It is a late night tonight. This episode, normally we'd be on at 9:30 Eastern. We are here closer to almost 10:30. Actually, it's about 10 after 10, as there was some kind of delay to the beginning of Big Brother tonight. Jeff, was this because of golf?
No, it was because I believe, anyway, 60 Minutes did 90, like an extra long episode because of 9/11. But maybe it was because of golf. You might be right. It might be because of golf.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, Jaemeel was like, "What's the reason?" I was like, "I don't know." But we are not on at the usual time here, so we appreciate it if you're with us a little bit late.
There he is. He's shimmying. He's ready. He's ready to talk about the cookout. They made it. They did it.
Yep. And just to let you know, I also got play of the game because I'm that awesome. Let's get this going. You're hyped up, Dave. He's out of luck, Cluck. Right? I'm with the genius idiot.
All out of cluck, I am.
You're all out of cluck.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. Who is that guy?
Was it Kevin?
I was very confused.
I thought it was
The
Kevin.
evil supervillain, the Cluckster.
Yes. We had our chicken wire competition tonight for the HOH. Kylan, the first HOH who gets to take a chance or a shot at the six here, as they have no one else but to target themselves now. So it's happened. But let's break down this episode. This was definitely a celebration that we didn't quite get to see fully at the end on Thursday. Xavier, was the almost the leader of the pep here.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to the cookout.
And all six members, I think all six members gave us diary room sessions about how excited they were. Although I don't really remember Kylan so much in those sessions, but I think he was there. He didn't have a good night on Thursday, so he was a little bit less excited. But
The baby.
yeah.
I'm just irritated.
Yeah, but Tiffany, she was very excited in the DR.
Oh, we made it! We stuck together. We did it.
You did it.
Why don't they just all agree? Whoever wins, you split the money 6 ways.
Well, that's against the rules, isn't it? Isn't that collusion?
I think it is. It is against the rules. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that's happening. I don't think some of them want to share it anyway. But yeah, so there was definitely, just some elation. They were like, let's enjoy the moment. And, the fact that this alliance did stuck together despite all odds. I think I was listening to the Rob Cesternino podcast the other night, and he described them as America's most dysfunctional family. This Cookout Alliance, and now it's on. Now they have to fight to the end, and we're seeing sort of how those positionings between the different relationships are playing out here. But maybe we'll go to Jaemeel first here. Jaemeel, Kylan, what do you make of Kylan?
He is
tonight?
such a big baby. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. So he's I don't understand this man at all. Anything that would make sense as any type of Big Brother player, he's like doing the exact opposite, right? Exact
Right.
opposite. Like most people play the game to win, right? He is obviously determined to lose. He's taken all the wrong lessons from the past, and he's hard-headed, and he's like focused on a losing game.
Yeah.
I only want to go to the end with the best.
Who is Xavier, who wasn't the best strategically, has not really won competitions. We're basing it on, supposed promise.
Right. Potential.
Potential. He's a jack dude, right? We haven't seen his full potential. Let's have him get to the end.
Yeah, Jeff, what do you think of Kylan's rationale here? Why is he choosing to align himself with Xavier here at the stage?
Okay, I have kind of a different take on this, because for me, the reason why Kylan is choosing Xavier over Tiffany and Hannah is because, all right, if I'm in a final 6 and before we play at HOH and 2 girls come up to me, or whoever, 2 people come up to me and say, hey, want to make a final 3? And another guy who's the next biggest, maybe comp threat. He's not. I think Hannah's the biggest comp threat in the house, but Xavier would be right there with her. If he said we'll do final 2, like they kind of had to sit down, and you saw it where Kylan was like, look, if I win HOH or if I have the vote and you win HOH, like whatever, we protect each other. And it's mutually beneficial, I think, for them to get to final 3 with each other, then cut each other. But at least they're saying to each other, hey, final 2. Whereas Tiffany and Hannah, I think they made a mistake by framing it as a final 3, because to me, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, well, then you're just going to cut me at 3. Right?
Right.
So both of them individually have said that they would take Kylan.
Well, but
he doesn't believe them.
Yeah,
I wouldn't believe them if I was Kylan.
Yeah, like, would you believe them?
Would you believe them?
Yeah.
Why would you believe that Tiffany would take Kylan over Hannah? Explain that to me.
Because I think Tiffany would think that she can beat Kylan.
Over Hannah?
Over Hannah? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she would. Well, I think Tiffany would do that. I think she wanted that final 3 because she thinks Hannah or Kylan would take her, which is all you want.
From her perspective, absolutely. But I don't think Hannah's going to take Tiffany.
Hannah would take Kylan, do you think?
Yeah.
You're probably right. Yeah. But do you think she would? I don't know. She's very tight with her, and I don't know if she...
I think Tiffany's more likely to cut Hannah than the other way around. But maybe you're right. Maybe
Hannah has done a great job of and it's kind of at her detriment that she has not really made that many promises to people in the household. She made promises to Derek X. She made promises to Alyssa, really, and this one, right? And she hasn't really spent a lot of capital as in comparison to other people like X, who's has deals with every single soul. Every single damn soul.
Well, and fair enough. I'm going to take your word for it. Hannah and Tiffany would both be better for Kylan's game. You're saying?
Wait, hold on a second, Dave. Hold on.
Oh, that's what you said.
I said that's what I perceive and what I see. If you feel otherwise, baby, that's yours, right?
Well, I don't have any evidence. This is all
and have the right perspective, dude.
This is all my intuition and my perception of observing this. Especially based on what I'm getting on the show. But the Kylan was sort of burned by Tiffany some time ago. I think, and here's the other thing I think that's not being said with Kylan, is that Kylan doesn't really like losing, especially to women, I think. And I think the fact that Tiffany has beat him even though he threw it technically in that competition, like when she became HOH last. And now, he didn't get to compete, I think, in the last one, and then Hannah won. So I think there's part of him that just doesn't want to lose to them for some reason. He would rather lose to Xavier.
I just find it funny, and someone else pointed this out, that Kylan kind of changed his tune about how he perceived Tiffany. You probably heard about this, Jeff. After their canoodling, their little session, a lot of things seemingly have changed post that. He doesn't respect her as much as he previously did.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could tell tonight the way he was talking to her before the vote out of Alyssa. There was some, as calm as Kylan is, there was some bass in his voice about, about just the fact he was going on the block and the fact that he felt like he's being used as this proverbial like target to basically help the image of both Hannah and Tiffany to Alyssa and their jury management. And Kylan kind of keeps getting like the I kind of understand where he's coming from, but neither the place or the way he should be talking to Tiffany. I think that was all big mistakes on his part, in my opinion.
But I don't understand his reaction, because this is the same dude that's gone into business for himself concerning previous people, right? Like, we have the perception to know that he has been basically outing the cookout to all these people that are going to the
Right.
jury house.
Yeah.
So him complaining to people about perceptions and doing some last minute maneuvering, right?
That's a fair point.
It seems pretty hypocritical from our perspective, right? Now, if he was doing this because it was pure game plan, he was manipulating Tiffany, I would say that's great gameplay. But unfortunately, I don't believe that. I think that dude is literally angry that Tiffany and Hannah did what they did, right?
That they did what? Just put him on the block.
Put him on the block, and then Tiffany went to check up on him.
His argument in that room was, so like Hannah decides to put up Kylan in that double eviction when X comes down after the veto on Thursday, right? And so Kylan was not super happy about it. He was complaining about it. Hannah decides to put him up. She had already done the hinky vote against him earlier that night, right? Or trying to frame him for that. And so I don't know how much of that was talked about afterwards, or what's the narrative exactly around that. That wasn't talked about on the show tonight. But his argument was, well, why should it be me next to Alyssa? What does any of this matter? Because he's like, it's over, game over, guys, we did it. Like, whether Alyssa, we can't let Alyssa know what's happening here, or we have to he was kind of like, this is stupid, and I kind of agreed with him a little bit.
That's what I meant by I could see where he's coming from.
But people still did not want to reveal the cookout, even though at that point, what could happen? They still didn't want to reveal the cookout.
Yes, and that was what he was irritated with, because he was like, this is all about you trying to suck up to Alyssa or to have the best relationship in his mind against Tiffany. And I guess the other part was he was like, Ozza's never been on the block. Why can't you put up Ozza?
Or Tiffany?
Why isn't it? Why never you two? Was also, I've had my turns up there, he's kind of saying.
So my understanding was, the plan was, if X came down, he would go up, because that would make the most sense, right? That's what they agreed upon as a group. So all of a sudden now, he's for changing how we position things, because last week when it was Sarah Beth, right? That was supposed to, not Sarah Beth, sorry, Claire, that was supposed to go out. There was a big issue with the order in which things were going to go, right? And things played out as it should, right? But there was supposed to be a specific way things were supposed to be done. And now when the specific things are going to be done with him being involved, there's a big issue, and he wants to complain about it. I think that, once again, hypocritical. Right?
Okay, fair enough. But I do think Kylan plays this game. We saw it a bit tonight. He plays the game to get information out of you. And if he has to get upset or get angry at you in his calm, condescending way, he's going to do it. And he did, I think, personally get some information from both Hannah and Tiffany that led him to put both of them on the block when he got upset and was throwing, criticize the way he went about the temper tantrum all you want, but I do think he gathered information by doing it, and so that's how I looked at it as well.
He Vanessa Rousseau, yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that was interesting about it was this was kind of Hannah's plan to put up. Well, I don't know, Jaemeel, based on what you're saying that this was always the plan. If X came down, Kylan would go up. So
because
from
it would
that
not make any
standpoint,
sense if it was anyone else. Because if it was anyone else, the assumption would be that Alyssa would still be there. Would it not?
it's kind of like it doesn't really matter. Like
Really?
Alyssa's point of view,
Shouldn't, from Alyssa's point of view, Kylan have went home?
yeah.
but
It makes more
Alyssa's
sense.
point of
It
view-
makes more sense for Alyssa to like be voted out over Azza.
Azza, yeah,
but
like
from
that.
Alyssa's point of view, wouldn't it like make no sense that like X would have been gone too? They were gonna if Hannah or anyone won the veto, they weren't gonna change the veto. It was only change the nominations. It was only because X won.
Right. So back to my point.
So
It doesn't really
Alyssa would have
matter.
been gone, and X would have still been there. And
This
there
is
would
where
have been,
I did agree with Kylan. He's like, it doesn't matter who it is. Why does it have to be me again?
Yeah. It doesn't make it look any better. Actually, it almost makes it look worse to put Kylan up and then Alyssa still goes home because Kylan's the bigger threat. Xavier was the bigger threat. Xavier was the bigger threat over Claire. Guess who kept going home? The lesser threat every single time. And
presumably, yeah.
Presumably,
but
right?
That was the agreed upon plan.
But I think Kylan has a point. Put Azza up. Alyssa's not going to be mad, like because Azza went,
Why
didn't
are we
go
changing
home.
the plan now? When last week they were complaining about changing the plan.
Whose plan?
It was them. They agreed upon this is the plan, and then they made a big stink when people went against it.
So, but did Kylan agree to this plan? I guess he did, but
it's usually the guys complaining about the order because they wanted to make sure not Sarah Beth. I keep on saying Sarah Beth. Claire went out first so that Alyssa would be left last because Alyssa would team up with the guys against the remaining women. That was specifically the reason why they wanted it that way. They didn't want to take any chance that that Tiffany was going to do anything kooky, have Alyssa gone, and just in case something goes weird, Claire would be on her side instead of Alyssa. All right.
Okay.
So it worked out for them.
Yeah, it did.
It worked. It worked in their favor, and now we're complaining about the most minute of problems.
Right.
Like if I was Hannah, I could absolutely understand if she just put up Azza and just go like, "Here you go, you baby." Right, but not in those words, like mentally, to just like keep the peace, right? Yeah. So, but then Azza's going to be mad at her, and her relationship with Azza is already garbage. If you put up Big D would be even more angry with her, right? So.
Well, it is what it is here, but like I think what Tiffany understood, which Hannah did not here tonight, was that like it doesn't maybe this is Kylan's turn and this was always the plan. And what are you doing, Kylan? Stop being a baby and stop being a whiner and step up for your alliance or whatever we want to say. Because I don't like Kylan. I don't want to defend him in any way. Trust me. So it's like but like that didn't show that on the show. They didn't say, remember when we all sat around the HOH room and we agreed that this was the plan? They didn't show that in the edit. So it's looking like this. And you see Tiffany has this reaction where when she talks to Hannah, she's like, no, don't put up Kylan. Like that's just gonna get him upset. And if he wins next week, that might like come back to bite us.
I wish she explained that a little bit better, or at least Hannah went and said that Tiffany was trying to keep you off the block. Because I felt that it did no favors with withholding that information from Hannah or Tiffany's perspective. But once again, that's what we see from the show.
I think Hannah in her HOH here and the way she combined with the Hinky vote and this other thing with like where she threw up Kylan and it was like he also felt like neither of them wanted, like at least that's what he's saying, right? His positioning was like, you're not hearing my feelings and you're not thinking about whatever. I don't totally subscribe to that, but it's like he just he didn't feel like he was being heard. And Hannah takes a little bit of she gets a little bit of a thrill of like playing this cutthroat, right? And so I think she might have the timing of this, like Xavier was saying,
timing is everything.
Yeah, and so the fact that Kylan ends up winning the chicken wire right after this, not so good for Hannah, not so good for Tiffany as a result too here tonight.
Well, Hannah couldn't play.
Yeah,
and here's the deal. I could see a world. I kind of think Kylan by mistake made the right nominations and. I will say, Jaemeel, Amanda is 100% on your page, and she's more into the live feeds. She thinks that Kylan should be going after X. I think that's probably where you would lean to. How do you leave this huge threat in the game? But for me, I think Kylan the best thing for him is to get to the end with X and one of Big D and Ozza, and then cut X. That's to me the best way for Kylan to win the game.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. The problem is I don't think he's going to do it.
No, I agree with that as well.
I only want to go to the end with the best.
So stupid. So stupid.
Who else
Yeah.
did that? Who else was like that? There was like, well, remember Anthony, who was like the runner-up to be Big Brother Canada 8, or no, it was Big Brother Canada 7. I'm sorry, instead,
So dumb.
right? But Dane ended up winning, right? They both like Dane knew, right? He's like, but you can like, it's kind of like the Beast Mode Cowboy thing, right? Where you're like, we're all competitors and whatever, but then, but you're gone. Like that's who Kylan is in this alliance to me. He's like the Caleb.
To me, it looks like he only respects one type of game, right? And he's totally ignoring the other parts of it, right? And to say that X, like the perception has been that X has been playing this amazing game, but that's from people from the outside, right?
Right.
People from the outside who say X, no one's putting him up. He has his game on lock because they've been protecting him.
They've been
Right?
protecting him.
Because he's part of the cookout, right? And
Right.
they strategically avoided putting him up in certain circumstances to ensure that he was never an option when they didn't really have control of that vote, right?
Right.
He's
But
been
now-
throwing comms.
That's
right?
all over now, and he's not on the block, right? So it's like,
So
he's
Claire
like a
just
visual
Claire
threat
just
too.
said that he's not. She's gonna vote for him. If he gets to the end, she's gonna vote for him. That automatically should mean don't take this dude,
Yeah.
right? And you're telling me that Tiffany isn't gonna vote for X if he's in the end with you and I was like, dude.
She said as much tonight when she was talking to Kylan.
But
I'm
even like
definitely
assumption.
coming after Xavier.
She's definitely coming after Xavier, though, right? So it's behooves Xavier to go after her.
She wanted to go to the end with Hannah, and she wanted Kylan to help them do it. She literally said that tonight in their conversation. She's like, we need you to get to Final 3, and basically then we're going to cut you. And they didn't say that, but that's what they meant. And I kind of understand. Kylan doesn't like that. Kylan wants bro out. We're a team. Ride or
Let's
die.
fight like men.
That's what he wants. He want like Hannah said tonight. He wants all the cards on the table, and he wants to be able to play with them. And he doesn't like when other people are holding cards. And he, I think, sees that Tiffany and Hannah are playing a good game, and are kind of trying to play him. And
they're legitimate threats to him too. But they're both saying like tonight, we're so happy he won because we want to go after Xavier and probably Big D before hit Kylan. But
Right.
once it got down to Kylan and 3 women, like he would be at the disadvantage potentially, right? Especially if
Yeah.
you can't play.
I don't think they're gonna like, is Ozza a deal breaker? I don't
No.
think they're gonna be like, oh no, we need to have
Right.
Ozza in this deal, or it's a done deal. They don't care. The only reason why they have a problem with Big D is because Big D would legit go out of his way to eliminate like the women. He does not like people
Yeah.
know, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's also interesting that Kylan asked, I think both Hannah and Tiffany, like, who's your ideal Final 4? And Hannah gave him a more straightforward answer than Tiffany did. Tiffany was like, ooh, well, that's tough. And Hannah was just kind of like, okay, I have to just be straightforward with him. And so I do think that's why Tiffany is the target and not Hannah, because Hannah lied a little less,
Sweet little me.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of her DRs. Every time her DRs happen, I'm like,
They have a certain theme. Since
Yeah.
X is gone, they have a theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Derek
It's-
X.
What? Since Derek X is gone,
What's
her DRs have had like she's this conniving Lolita
Yeah.
kind of thing, and it's kind of creepy sometimes, and
Yeah.
she's a grown woman, man. Like
She comes across like a 16-year-old, and she's
Yeah.
21, and
she's grown.
yeah.
She's grown. She doesn't need to play that.
No, she's
Because you can't trust the guy with the 10-foot pole.
Trust him to do what with it?
what she wants and what Tiffany wants. And the thing is, like, they're trying, like, you know, like this whole episode was Hannah like, ooh, I gotta do some damage control because that's Big Brother 101. And like all the way she was talking about, like, I think she thinks she's smarter than she is socially, and like she's trying to like manipulate Kylan, who I do think they look at him as a dummy. And in some ways, in some respects, he is, like, about taking X to the end. That's a dummy thing. But I think he's actually pretty good at asking the right questions when he's HOH and figuring out people's motivations.
What he does with that information, I think, is ultimately their failure, right? Their failure is this is what makes rational sense, right? This makes rational sense, and therefore this is how we talk to the individual to be on board with us working together. But like Kylan's in his own headspace, so they're talking a different language, and he's like, no, that's not what I want. I want it to be a fight to the end. And they're like, no, like the fight to the end should be us, not like X, who potentially could beat all of us if he's at the end, right? Especially if we let him get to the end, right?
Yeah.
And like, look, the scary part about it is X could technically get like 2 more HOHs and not like get past 2 HOHs and not win. Because let's say Azza wins next round, crazy. She might put up Kylan and Hannah.
Yeah, because she's not going to put up X and she's not going to put up Big D.
Right. So then let's say Hannah goes home, and then Kylan or Derek F win HOH. Kylan's not going up.
Right.
I think
like, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, getting Tiffany out, like if that's the goal here, is a big blow to Hannah's game because that's her one shield in the house. And you know, even if Hannah wins an HOH, she's vulnerable the next round and has to win the veto and then has to win the final 3 competition. You know, it could happen. And Hannah is definitely, I think, capable enough to win the competitions over everybody else. X would be number 2 for me. I don't think they look at her as enough as a threat.
But she is.
Yeah, she really is.
But she might be all by her lonesome before or not. Like I don't know how. I don't think her and Azza.
Which is a great area to be in, especially if things get murky. So let's say next week, once Tiffany is gone, right? Because I have to think that like unless a veto is played for Tiffany, I don't see how Tiffany makes it past. Because if Hannah is gone, is Azza gonna right?
It's 3 votes. One of them is Big D. You know who he's voting against.
Yeah.
You know, so who the other 2 votes? Azza and X, right? So they're going to decide who goes home.
So let's say whoever wins double eviction, right? If Hannah doesn't win that one, she's going to be in a tight spot, right? And then I have to believe, I've been calling it week after week, the next HOH after that is slip and slide.
Perhaps. Can we talk with this HOH competition from tonight, which was the chicken wire competition, characterized by Derek F as the food fight.
If we have to have a food fight at the cookout, let's get it on and popping.
We could get it on. We talked about the Cluckster.
The evil supervillain, the Cluckster.
Jeff, did you like the Cluckster?
No.
I was glad it was gone.
Yeah, firm no. Not necessary. Just play the competition. Move on. Okay, good.
The only reason why they had it was the why they had it was the superhero theme.
Yeah. Okay.
A man in a chicken suit.
Yeah, super.
Because BB Comics is going to be the veto, right?
Yeah, it's got to be the veto.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like the competition itself. This was a bit of a. I don't remember if I've seen this variation of the chicken wire competition before. I've seen, obviously it's traditional. You got to move the eggs through. Although these were bigger finger holes than even I'm kind of used to. I was used to more of that chain link fence. That's my memory of this competition. This was almost like a steel cage a wrestling steel cage a little bit. But it was kind of interesting how they had the chicken wire in certain areas to sort of make that more challenging in certain circumstances. And so then they had to put it on the platform and then roll it down and like knock down these things. Have we seen this version of this competition before? Because I thought it was interesting that normally it's just about who can fill up their basket the quickest or whatever, move that many eggs through the course. Not this extra like having to wobble this egg down, which is not a ball. So it's like, you got to move it around these obstacles and whatever. Because I really was hoping for Big D even to win this. I know you're not a fan, Jaemeel, but he's never won anything. I kind of felt from tonight where he was like kind of wanted something for him.
Didn't feel bad for him whatsoever.
That was his competition to win. And even Kylan was thinking about throwing it to him because he knew he was going to be safe, and he still couldn't help himself and beat him anyway.
I didn't hear any blowback about that.
Right. And there shouldn't be, because go win the final six. They're all going against each other. Win the competition.
I'm just saying they were just complaining about how things were supposed to be thrown to people.
Were they in that?
But not in this. They certainly know what was going to be thrown. They had to plan on who was going to get power here at 6.
There was conversations about throwing it to Big D. Not amongst all the people, mind you.
Not a great conversation, in my opinion.
Was Tiff all on board for that?
No, not obviously.
Whose idea? I mean, who wanted
Kylan
this?
Kylan
and Xavier?
Kylan and Xavier kind of deciding these things?
No, Kylan and Derek talked about it. He's like, he's going to throw it to him.
And he didn't, and that's why he was bummed out, and that's why he was like tonight.
But it was so weird because he goes, "Oh,
he didn't have a big hissy fit like last time."
Right.
But it seemed like Kylan could have thrown this to Big D, but ultimately
absolutely
he changed his mind. Why?
He said that he accidentally knocked it over. That didn't look like no accident. I was kind of waiting to see it finally. That didn't look like an accident.
He could. Yeah. No.
It looked like he got impatient to me. It looked like he missed the first time, and then he saw Big D miss one, and he was like, "I'm not taking any chances."
There was no way.
Who was in third at that point?
One person had knocked. I think Ozza knocked one down.
Ozza knocked. No, sorry. Ozza and Xavier were tied with one.
With one.
There was no way.
Is Ozza having power like Kylan's worst nightmare?
Sorry?
Is Ozza having power like Kylan's worst nightmare?
Yes. Yes, because she would go for Kylan.
Right. Yeah. He does not like her. I think he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder about like their arguments way back when, where he wouldn't. Can we reset and agree to hear each other or whatever?
So not enough so that he nominated her over like Hannah tonight, Dave. Like he went after Tiff and Hannah, not her.
Because if Hannah won veto, she would take Tiffany off, and then where would he be?
Yeah, it would be. And he does. I think he considers Ozza sort of a non-issue, right? Like like not somebody he has to worry about, but not somebody he wants to be at the mercy of either. Sure. So he would. Yeah.
And when we get to spoilers, I want to talk more about this.
Yeah. Okay. So then the competition itself, like I don't know, like Kylan, whatever.
Dave, hold on a second. Time out. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
You seem bummed today. Where's the energy, friend?
I got the energy.
Energy. You know what? You got to do what you got to do.
I do got to do what I got to do. You know what? Let's hear some good. That's a good idea.
Do what you need to do.
Do you know what I need to do? Is I need to go take a nap on the big blue couch.
On the big blue couch? Where's that? Big blue couch, big blue couch. Ozza, and Hannah.
Big blue couch. Grab a seat and some popcorn with your friends.
Wait, and so at the end of this competition, what do? We find Tiffany back on the block again?
Back on the block again? I think I know that song.
I'm back on the block again, because I'm from the block.
All right, Dave.
Yeah.
We did that for you. Okay.
Okay, we got some music going. Yeah, we needed the tunes. You're right. And so like this. So Kylan's approach to this competition, where he was dropping the egg some distances, I thought was innovative though. Or not something you see very often.
Other people have done it in this competition. but it's not, a lot of times they don't catch it.
And nobody was
holes are
doing
big
it
enough that he was able to do it.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
the biggest holes of the fencing I've seen or I could remember, and he was allowing like pretty significant drops. Nobody else really tried that, and I think it allowed him, gave him that edge, right?
If it was the other variation of this competition where you just had to fill the basket, Ozzy would have won.
Mary's saying she's sick of people wanting something handed to them, and I'm with Mary on this, and I hate the idea like all they do is like sitting around like who's gonna throw what to who and who's gonna control this competition and whatever. Like stop it, stop trying to like work the game every friggin' way you can. But I guess that's their job is just to think about that all day. So
I'm glad that they didn't like go into the minutia like, oh, you'll win this week and then I'll win next week and then Thing will win next week. Luckily they never did any of that, because if it became like dividing wins and they like had like a chalkboard or whatever to calculate that I would have gone insane with that. Thankfully that didn't happen. Right? People just won.
I mean, it's okay. I was happy that they just started playing the game against each other finally. Like there was nowhere to hide anymore. There was no Hannah couldn't hide. Ozzy can't hide anymore. Big D can't hide it. Like they all have to, there is potential of them not only being put on the block but actually being voted out. So now there's a scramble. And I just like to watch the game be played. I don't like to watch the contestants hack the game,
Yeah. Or I don't want to see them hack it. I especially don't like that it's not if they are doing that it's not on the show. Right?
No, I don't mind it being on the show, but like, show me what's the reality. But I just would rather players play individually and stop thinking about the collective all the time. It's admirable, but this is a cutthroat game, it really is. That's the whole point of these games.
Well, if people decide to play it cutthroat.
Right. And they're more entertaining, so I'm selfish. I fully admit. I'm selfish. I want to see a cutthroat, selfish players because I find, betrayals and all those things exciting, especially for TV,
Right.
I don't think we're going to get much betrayals this season.
No.
At this point, the way things are going, I think it's going to be like paint by numbers.
It would be the least bitter jury ever then.
Oh,
could be.
I think if it's Kylan and X, it'll be a bitter jury, but it won't be like we're bitter against both of these players. They're like, X, you played well enough to win this game. Kai, you basically gave it to X, and we're gonna each take our turn to explain why you're a dummy.
Okay, let's go through that. Why is X getting the votes over Kylan? Like, what are the reasons?
Because the perception was that X was was controlling the game, quote unquote, controlling the game, right? That's why they kind of positioned X away from the block, or like always flirted with it, right? Because what Derek X was like, he was part of the Kings. The Kings never went up on the block, right? Up until things. So they had this perception of being like unstoppable team, and then Whitney was gone, and then you had like it was what Sarah Beth, Xavier, and Alyssa
and Christian.
Xavier was it was Xavier, Christian, Alyssa, and Sarah Beth. That was the Kings. Yeah.
Sorry, not Whitney.
Whitney was on the Aces.
Yeah. Aces, yes.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Like he was controlling the game. Why? Because the Kings were doing well. Like so Xavier gets all the credit because the Kings did well. Like is this what like the perception is?
Is Christian gonna argue against it?
Well,
he can't. He's God.
Right, Alyssa would, I guess.
Well, Alyssa was so like enamored with X, like X was her lifeline, that it wasn't even a thing.
But she wouldn't be bitter toward Xavier finding out that he was lying to her the entire time. She's not gonna be bitter about that a little bit. Bitter enough to vote for the other person, which is Kylan, say.
With like, I figured that initially that he, like Kylan would have Alyssa's vote, but I think Alyssa is gonna be talked down by all the people once they come out.
I like the guy, but probably not.
Claire's gonna talk to him.
Well, okay, and then we look at like all right, Hannah said tonight, I don't want to be the first member of the cookout to go to the jury. And if it's Tiffany, does Tiffany blow the cookout to the jury? Does she care? Does she keep it to herself?
She's gonna get to the jury and everyone practically knows, so she's just gonna confirm.
Okay.
And she's gonna ask the question, "How did you know?" Right? And they're gonna say from Kyla's messages, and then she'll be like, "Oh, that's the case. Okay, get your teacups because I'm gonna spill some tea."
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I think like if Tiffany got to the jury next, for instance, I think she would be a champion. I think in particular for probably Hannah. She would probably want Hannah to win, and so would be trying to steer the jury in that direction, assuming Hannah's in the final two. But
if Hannah's in the final two, I can see that definitely. But if it's Xavier and Kylan, I think she has to go with X.
I think she will. Yeah,
because it's not even a matter of being bitter. I think she just won't respect Kylan's thought process as to how we got to that end result. If he had a deal with X, that's different, and said that I had a deal with him and it was, mutual things, but I was working an angle to see if I can take him out at 5 or take him out at 4 because that would best benefit me and my path to the end. No, he wants to take him all the way to the end. And it doesn't usually work out well when you have that type of thought process getting to the end.
We see this too, though. Like, I guess, like the idea of why? Okay, here's the question: so, like the competitors like Xavier and Kylan, they do make like sort of this deals, like I won't target you, you won't target us, and we'll just dominate these HOHs going forward. It's kind of like the pioneer, the gentleman, right? Like,
right.
Amanda
kind of lost it on that. She was like, one thing that they are neither of.
Neither of them is a gentleman.
They have a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, gentleman's agreement, yes. And so but we see this a lot, like where the big athletic jock types tend to ally with each other, even this late in the game, right?
Classic BB.
Yeah, is it because of those competitors? Maybe this is a good question.
It's too soon. It's too soon from their thought process because they're each other's shield.
Yeah, like the only way you take out an X is, say Kylan like has a veto or gets and then backdoors Xavier. That would be the way to do it if you really wanted to take a shot at X. You backdoor him. You don't give him a chance to play for a veto, and you don't even let him see it coming.
Right. And so Mary's saying here, this is what she's thinking. Azza, Big D, and X will always take each other. That might be true. And so she's saying that her prediction is X will win. Thank you. I have him in the draft. And then the Kings said that they will vote for another king no matter what. Christian's not on the jury, so he's out. But Sarah Beth and Alyssa are sure votes for X.
Sarah Beth 8 voted for Kylan. 8 voted for Kylan.
No, she's bitter against Kylan.
Oh.
Who got Sarah Beth out? Was it Kylan or
no? He was sitting next to her. It was Tiffany.
Right. Tiffany, right?
Ultimately, but Kylan was in on it.
Yep, and Tiffany's going to be able to spill that tea if she gets voted out.
But they were all in on it. They all do.
Well, all of them were in on it.
Yeah,
so it's weird to be mad at one individual
Sarah Beth
person.
was very clear. Don't make me look like an idiot.
Right,
And I will be mad.
And she will be mad.
I will be.
And
upset.
she's gonna. But okay, so it's like Xavier in the best spot because he's done the least amount of throat slitting.
Yeah, that was the
he has
whole
no
thing.
blood in his hands. He's respected. I think mostly people like him, although I think that maybe he's also I think got a reputation for being a whiner and very pushy.
But the whining was to the cookout; it wasn't to other people, really.
Right. Mm-hmm. So he has a good image with a lot of those jurors.
Yeah.
Right.
So like if he stays to the end, and let's say the cookout members say, "Yeah, he was such a big baby during this part of the game," they're like, "Well, you got voted out, so I can understand why you're bitter towards him and how he's complaining." Like it's not you can't really bring that up. That's not really a good look. So
right, it would look petty.
Yes.
Petty. Only.
But we know a few.
Because I'm petty.
A few players are petty. They said they are.
and Derek F can't win. to beat out X to eliminate him. And
Reggie
Ozzy would
did.
always take X over Kylan.
I would I'm still not anti Derek F, even though maybe I should be. But Derek F beating Kylan would be kind of amazing for me to see happen. Like if Derek F cut him somewhere down the line.
The one thing I kind of wish was if Tiffany gets eliminated, and I know I'm like really on this Tiffany elimination train because
Every time you say it, you're breaking Mary's heart every time you say it.
BB Comics is a hard veto to win, right? It's a hard veto to win. I'm just saying, if she was able to still be like get her hands on Derek F after he does a goodbye message to her, I would pay money to see that, right? Because I'm pretty sure she would go and try to choke him.
Why? Why?
Because Derek F would throw so much heat, right?
In the goodbye message.
In the goodbye message,
and we're not going to see it on TV because it's going to be a double eviction, most likely, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't see it on TV. I watched Claire's goodbye message. And, oh my gosh!
Did Kylan say anything?
No, they didn't show Kylan. The three people that they show were Azza, Alyssa, and Tiffany. And you just see when Alyssa started talking about, I can't believe Tiffany, blah, blah, blah. You should have listened to me. I would have never put my ex up. And then you just see Claire's just looking at her like, you dumb fool. Right? Because she recognizes it. And then Tiffany starts talking, and then Claire just starts tearing up. She literally starts tearing up. Like,
she loves Tiffany.
Why didn't Claire? Sorry, but I guess Claire didn't want to ruin Tiffany's game, even though Tiffany was the one taking her out. But why didn't Claire just, like, we saw the conversation? Why didn't Claire just tell Alyssa straight up, like, kind of what she thought? She kind of gave her cryptic clues, and
she didn't want to blow it up. Like, understand the type of person that Claire is, i.e., I don't go to the circus because animals being mistreated.
Like, I don't really support elephants at the circus. Just saying.
That's the type of person who's gonna put ideals over gameplay.
Right. And that was interesting. It was interesting watching the Rob Sister Nino podcast the other night because they were talking about Claire and how classy she was going out, and how this was so noble, and because it was serving the cookout. I'm like, I don't. Well, sure.
There's no nobility in losing. You lost.
I tend to agree. Like she, but
Screw us over.
So over.
So excited.
So excited.
There's no nobility in doing everything that you can to win, right?
Yeah,
and
she's
not
like
doing...
a Colby type, right? Like I want Tina to win Survivor, right? Like and
no. If I'm there, I'm looking to figure out how I can get to the end, right? And
that's what you should be doing.
Tiffany's game could ultimately be over because she tried to keep her feet in both worlds and have Claire and also had to kick at the same time, and her feet was taken out from underneath her with what happened, right? And Kylan was in a better position and was able to make a deal with X to secure himself at least a situation where he would have made it to at least Final 5.
Does Kylan have any good reason to turn his back on Tiffany at this stage?
Absolutely. There's 1,000,001 reasons why. Yeah. Reason number 1, Tiffany's a good player. Right. Reason number 2, no, it's true. Like, look, let's if we take past relationship aside and alliance this and how it's not a good look and everything like that.
Yeah,
Tiffany is one of the best players in the game. You go and eliminate that. You go and eliminate that type of person, just like how Tiffany would want to get rid of X, and how they should try to get rid of Kylan at 5 if they're able to, right? The point of the game is to put yourself in the best position to win, right? So it doesn't matter. So if Tiffany goes out, I'm not mad at Kylan because he did it. I wouldn't be mad if X did it, or Derek F did it, or Ozza did it, because it would make sense to do so, to get rid of the people that could impede your ability to win the money, right? What I don't understand is we're gonna get to those messages. Let me just finish this statement. What I don't understand is this whole, well, I want to play against the best, right? And I want to do X. If he really wanted to play against the X, wouldn't he want to get rid of the people who are not good players?
Yeah, wouldn't it be Ozza and Big
Derek
D?
F and supposedly Hannah, right? Like,
no, but it's more like I want to get out the bigger threats now with X, and then we'll get out, and maybe Kylan's in the back of his mind thinking he will turn on X later, maybe.
And that would be great.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he's going. Like, all right, I wouldn't be going after Tiffany here. I said this to Amanda. If I was Kylan, I would be doing whatever I could to make sure Hannah went home this week, because I don't want Hannah anywhere near the final 3 competition, because she is very good with the mind games and like the mental competitions, and I don't want her near those true and false questionnaire. Remember what happened on day 40. I don't want her anywhere near those competitions. She would be my number 1 target. And I just don't understand why Kylan is targeting Tiffany, somebody that I think he kind of had in his back pocket and she had him in his back pocket. Like, they were kind of using each other. And, thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you, Mary, because I just don't. Hannah's the biggest threat for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, did we actually think, and Dave, you're from television perspective only, did you actually think that Tiffany was gonna go after Kylan in 6 or 5?
No, I did not. No,
so right then and there, it's like, why am I taking out this person? I should be going up after Hannah.
I think he's going after Tiffany because word got around, I think, to him about how much Tiffany's playing him, and he don't like that. And Hannah's playing him less. And like, it's like what I said before. Like, I think, like, we saw it in when she got nominated and they showed her DR and she's like, Kylan, you're a genius idiot. I'm coming after you, but you're not supposed to know that, like, she is going to cut him, but she made it way too obvious, in my opinion, that she was going to do that, giving him this final 3 deal. That whole speech tonight was dead giveaway, bad gameplay, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think Hannah ruined it more than Tiffany did. I think
Maybe.
Hannah played it too strong in that double eviction. I think she didn't manage Kylan correctly. She thought she smoothed things over, and I think that with X working on him and Big D working on him, I think Kylan was just like, "What? Why? Well, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should cut one of those two or try to break up that pair, because reasons, I guess." So anyway, but Mary was saying here she liked Claire.
I liked Claire too.
I thought she was a fine person.
Yeah.
So
I
excited.
Did not like her on the show really at all. Like,
I liked her off the show.
I think she's a good person in real life, but I don't think she's a good cast or player, really, for that matter.
Yeah, for me, just terrible in the DR. Could not figure out the house to save her life. And then what she did when it was like telegraphed to her, she didn't do anything with that info. And
she just kept Tiffany's nominations in place.
Yeah, that too. Like, she made a bunch of errors, and I just didn't get it.
Now here's
the
Mary
perfect
saying
person you wanna have an alliance with, because they'll that's a ride or die.
She's a loyal to a fault.
That's a ride or die.
And here Mary's saying, I don't understand why you wouldn't respect Tiffany for putting up Claire. No, that's the whole point, I think, Mary, is that they do respect that she has a great case in Final 2. She made herself, by forcing herself to be the one to take out Claire here, by winning that HOH in the first place, I think that might have been really her mistake, because that kind of started the rift with Kylan that has brought them to this week, And so this has kind of been brewing for a couple of weeks now. And I think the fact that she's like, I took out my biggest ally, Claire, for the cookout when I had to, and that's a great Final 2 portion to have, especially with Claire being like, I love you, Tiffany, and I will do whatever, even though you took me out. So she'll have props for that. I think if you're Xavier or Kylan or anybody who thinks that they have a legitimate, serious shot to win this game, Hannah, you have to be thinking about that and go, oh, I don't want to be next to Tiffany.
I wholeheartedly agree. If that was specifically the reasons that they were detailing, and sure, it could be rattling in their head. That's not necessarily what was presented.
Yeah. Just on the whole.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Yes, and Kylan really wanted that HOH. Well, Kylan, the one that I think we went the one 2 weeks ago. That
The Claire one, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he wanted to be the one, and I think looking back on that, and Tiffany probably should have let him have it, instead. But so I don't know. She wanted her cake and eat it too. I think a little bit.
Well, I agree with you, Dave. They both proved to each other in that HOH when they were swinging around, going around in circles. They both proved to each other that they can't trust each other at 6. Yeah. And that's why this happened.
Yeah. Even though they were having amorous relations in the
well, that's not on the show, Dave.
No, yeah, sorry, that never happened. Yeah. Okay, so just just to wrap up the episode, so we can get to the spoilers and talk about all that. So there was all the meetings. We had Tiffany and Kylan meeting. Well, there was also Xavier and Kylan meeting. There was a bunch of different segments. I think Hannah was really not happy with Kylan tonight. She was like, I played it a little bit earlier, but she says I can't
because you can't trust the guy with the 10-foot pole.
And she was trying to throw him off, and she called him an information collector. Is he like Jeff? Is he like Whoopi Goldberg in Star Trek, where she's Guinan? He's like the listener.
He is a good. I will give him credit at this. He's good at when he has power, asking the right questions, but he is bad at explaining to us just how he's interpreting those answers to those questions. He's not good in the GR and telling us look, I know they're Xavier's way better at this. Kylan just kind of goes, I don't really get it. He says that a lot. And so, stuff like this. And I'm like, you don't get it?
It
why
that I'm not sad about it.
Yeah. Stuff like this. And I don't know. It's just, I find him in the DR just to kind of be oblivious almost, but then he has enough knowledge to ask the correct questions, who you bringing it, who's your ideal Final Four, because that is an important question when you're at the 6.
His actions reflect that something of a cutthroat, ruthless player, right? Who's super competitive. That's his actions. But then when he talks like a wishy-washy kind of hippie dude who's like, well, why don't we all talk about our emotions?
I have a lot of conflicting emotions.
We never see the meanness come out. Even he was pretty upset that he was going up in this double eviction, clearly.
Right.
And I think,
but he kept trying to win that argument you're just about to talk about with passive aggressive logic, trying to logically win the argument against somebody like Tiffany. By the way, not gonna work. To be when he kept going but those are appearances, and just trying to calmly say how pissed off he was about the situation that he found himself in, hitting the block and not getting voted out. Again, did not handle it appropriately, but at the same time, I think he's an idiot savant. He ends up getting the correct information by being a baby.
Yep.
Right.
Works out for him, and it's hard to knock everything he's doing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
you're right.
No, shut the up, Kylan.
You're absolutely right, though.
Yeah.
Zingbot also told him to shut the F up. Kylan, I mean, all right, Tiffany's been coming at Kylan for a while too with this kind of vitriol. And then she tried to go and then play nice with him at the same time. And Kylan, that's Kylan's game. Kylan knows exactly how to do that. So he sees it coming at him, I think.
Remember when Kylan wanted to be taken off the block?
Right.
Kylan, trying to have the power veto used on you this week is a very selfish move. You are sitting on the block next to Sarah Beth, right where we all agreed you should be. I got my eye on you.
Right.
All
and then
agreed.
I was just gonna say, and now it's the reverse. The roles have reversed. Remember when Kylan wanted to get Hannah to use the power of veto on him, and
In no universe was I ever going to use the veto on you.
No universe was she ever going to.
In no universe, you should have played that a little bit better. Maybe not played it, but at least humored him. And you know, she really didn't. And I think this is what happens in Big Brother. You can't just stick to your guns and be right all the time. You have to stroke egos. Yeah, they're stroking in egos. Compliments and be like, yeah. And they're not doing that with Kylan, and it's coming to bite them.
Yeah, I think you're right about this. It's like I think that they have to manage his ego, right? And if they did that, they could probably manipulate him a lot easier. But they've you know, he's been stubborn. He's asked for things in the past, and the alliance has been sort of irritated with him. And so, but now it's like he has power, and now this is sort of he's choosing to do this with it by putting up Hannah and Tiffany, which I get is disheartening, especially if you're a Hannah or Tiffany fan.
It's not disheartening in the sense that it isn't. Once again, it isn't a bad move. It's a bad move for the reasons that he's given.
Right, and
that's the problem.
He's also hurting his game by doing this now, and you know, it's.
Well, he has a path. It's just not going to be an easy one.
Yeah. So we had the nomination ceremony. Jaemeel, do you know if Hannah and Tiffany knew this was coming in that meeting?
I think they had their suspicions. But once one was up, like you had to know that the other was going to go up too.
At this part, I asked Jane. I was like, Jane, what would you do if you were Kylan here? And she says, I would put up Tiffany and Xavier.
Can't do that.
But that would never happen, right? So because that's just not how the house is set up. But yeah, Azza is coming after Kylan, but you know, Azza would have to win something first.
Azza would have. I said I laughed tonight when she had to roll something else down a ramp. I was like, "There's no way." I said, "Now it's an egg." She's got no chance.
This is like, yeah. Didn't she get one though? Did she get like one?
She did.
Not one.
Yeah.
But if it was like just filling up the basket, she would have won. She was the quickest one. The problem was,
what you need to do.
The problem was she had to roll it, and then it was doom. There was no way she was going to be able to do it.
Yeah, you know, it was like, oh, poor Azza, because you are good at this egg thing. But just if this was traditional chicken wire, she might have got this. Like, just get the eggs into the basket. Maybe. I don't know if Kylan would have. Kylan has this ability to like kick up his competition a gear when he wants to not lose, right? So, which is always.
And so does Xavier.
Yeah,
Xavier, like he said tonight. Okay, guys, do you kind of think he was just bad at this? Because he had the longest fingers. I mean, he showed his fingers, and like they were really, maybe
Xavier
they're a little thicker. But he's like, these hands are made for basketball. And I was just like the gap in the fence is big, and I'm like, I don't get why he was bad at it. His fingers are so long
to manipulate it too. Because
he was having a hard time getting his fingers and his hand through the certain parts of that, you know, at different times, and so, but it seemed like Derek F was actually better at it than Xavier.
See, here's the problem with what Mary said here about putting up X and Tiffany if she was Kylan. The problem is, what if Hannah wins the veto, takes Tiffany off, and now he has to put up Big D or Azza, and now everyone in the house is coming after Kylan because they've all touched a block because of Kylan, and he's also put up the two biggest threats at competitions, Hannah and X, in the same week, and they're both going to come for him. They're going to have great excuse and great reason to come for him on the next.
Want the smoke.
There's only 5 left next week, so you know there's only so many options.
And he can't compete in HOH,
right? Which
we know is a double eviction. He doesn't know,
right?
So yeah, but I think you have a good point there with the fact that you know he has to almost pretty much, and he said this in his DR. I have to kind of pick a side. Either I go with Hannah and Tiffany, and I choose like that's my side of the house, and I'm against the others, or I'm with X in this final two
and Big D.
I guess with Big D peripherally, because they'll take him to final 3 and then cut him there. And I guess Ozza would go at 4. Is kind of the idea here.
That's the path they want. Yeah.
If X wins, we know it's a double eviction. If X wins HOH, who does he put up?
He might. I could see. Oh, I could totally see X cutting Kylan, even though he's saying he's in a final 2.
I don't think he will. No, I don't think it behooves him to do that. I think he'll be, especially if Hannah doesn't go out on the first eviction. I think he'll go after Hannah, because if he's half decently smart, and I think he is, he will recognize bringing Hannah anywhere near final 4 or final 3 is a mistake. I think.
Yeah, I think. Honestly, I would say get rid of Kylan.
Why? He can win. He can win the endurance comp, but he ain't gonna win the mental comp. You know.
You can get rid of Hannah 4 and 3. Right, because let's say you can't win HOH, if it is anything physical, and you hope. Well, see, you don't want to put any faith in Derek or Ozza. That's the problem.
In a slip and slide, I don't think either of those two would win the slip and slide. If that was what it was.
I keep on thinking the slip and slide.
It might happen, but it would be especially good if Kylan can't compete in the slip and slide. But it's not going to be in the double eviction. It would more likely be in the one after the double eviction.
Yeah. Let's say it's in the final 4 HOH. Let's say the double eviction is again another true and false thing. I feel like Hannah has again the best chance to win it. So isn't it make more, especially when they find out it's a double eviction, do you think they might change their vote or might change their strategy? Probably not, right? Because that's all decided over the whole week, and then they lock it in, and it's like God's word, and they never break.
Unless Derek F wins, and then he'll just do whatever he feels like it.
Or Hannah. I think Hannah is a little bit unpredictable too, right? Like, and what she'll do.
No, I'm talking about like when they get to the eviction night on Thursday, right? And then they get told it's double eviction, right? Do they switch up? Like, say they're going to vote out Tiffany. Do they switch up and go, maybe we should take out Hannah because it's double eviction and we don't want to have to deal with her in the true and false stuff? You know what I mean?
Maybe. I think I think that's a hard argument to make with like someone like Big D's vote, right? Because he's just wanted Tiffany gone for so long that I think he won't change his vote.
But that doesn't matter. Xavier and Ozza can decide.
Right.
Mary says it isn't enough people for slip and slide. I'm sticking to it for.
I didn't know there was a minimum number of people.
Slip and slide.
Other than, I've seen it like with at least 6 or 7 people before.
It's usually earlier, but yeah.
Or give me the pressure cooker.
Let's get to
cooker or slip and slide.
Let's get to the spoilers. Okay, so we're gonna leave you here now. We're going to the spoilers. We're gonna talk about who won the veto, what it's looking like for the Thursday double eviction. Like, this is the first part of it. If you're leaving us now, make sure to check us out Wednesday and Thursday. Also, check out our other podcasts here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, including the Marvel Cinematic Universe series, including most recently the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And we'll also be covering Survivor when that comes back after Big Brother. And different things, all kinds of scripted and unscripted content. There you go, Shang-Chi. And then also check out our Star Trek theme channel, which is called Live Long in Podcast, where on Monday nights we talk about Star Trek, the original series. Tuesday night, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Always talk about a different episode on those. And then on Thursdays, we talk about new episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks. Right now in the season 2, as those new episodes are dropping on Paramount Plus and different things. There you go. And we're going to be eventually transitioning, I guess, into Star Trek Prodigy. Well, not everyone here, but so I will be.
Prodigy,
and then Picard. So yeah, I have new Star Trek shows.
Strange New Worlds.
And Strange New Worlds, yeah. So we have a lot of different Star Trek shows. It's going to have different panels for the different shows and whatever. So that's all going to be coming up. It's going to be a busy year of Star Trek coming up. And then as well, we have Trivial Debates, our monthly show. We argue about movie, TV, sports, and more. Plus, check out our friends podcast, including Davin Skellhorn's Locutors of Trek, he's the one who does Lower Decks with us on Thursdays, as well as my son Eamon. He has got a podcast called Let's Talk About Fighting Games, which is on Spotify and different places you get your audio podcasts. Okay, so with that, we're going to go to our special spoiler music or sound, which is a Ruafu from Star Trek Insurrection mixed with Brittany from this season. Here we go. All right, and we are officially now in the spoiler section. So, who won the power of veto?
Well, because we're in Final Six, everyone competes in veto. So there's no questions about that.
No backdoors. So, there we go.
There's no such thing as a back door when everybody's playing in the veto.
Right.
I told you it's a screen door.
It's a screen door.
That's right.
Thank you, Kiefer. Yes. So
Screen door.
this was a screen door.
Who do you think won? Do you know, Dave?
Oh, I do know. I do
Okay.
know.
That is what is best for the cookout.
And what's best for Kylan?
Yeah.
Best for Kylan. Kylan did win.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of conflicting emotions.
And he has all the power.
Yep, all the power.
He has all the power. I assume the nominations are staying put.
Why would you change the nominations? At
No,
this
there's
point?
no reason.
No.
Unless he changed his mind.
You guys are wrong. He is thinking about using the veto to take down Hannah to curry favor with Hannah. So in case she wins the HOH the next time, and he's thinking about putting Azza up.
Super sketchy.
Well, it's not going to work. Hannah's not going to respect this. She's just going to be like, "Thank you, I get to vote now. Thank you very much." You know,
it's gonna look as petty because he's like, the only reason why you did that was just so that Azza was on the block too.
Call me petty, but I guess that's what I am.
Yeah. So, but Hannah, he doesn't care about Hannah, or sorry, he doesn't care about Azza. He doesn't. He thinks that there's a chance Hannah could win, and this might soften things. Soften things enough with Hannah that she wouldn't nominate him, but she still will. Like,
yep.
He's lived with her for 10 weeks. Does he not know her?
I think his ego is so much bigger than his logic, and it just comes down to like that week when he manipulated Sarah Beth was like the worst possible thing for Kylan, because it told him in his brain, as long as he works on somebody long enough and has a calm, collected voice, it'll work, and that's what happened with Sarah Beth.
Nothing is in her ear.
Yeah, whisper sweet nothings, and that'll get him a little further.
Where is it?
And I like sweet nothings whispered in my ear.
Well, okay, she likes it, so I guess that is what Kylan should do.
She did. She liked it until then. She turned on Brent.
Yeah. She turned on him the next episode and said he was like the worst piece of garbage in the history of men.
Yeah. She went from flirting with him to hating him. Yeah, she was not. Poor Brent Champagne, or not. I don't know. He maybe had it going. And anyway, so okay. So then but if assuming that these nominations were to stay the same, because the veto has not been played yet, or the power veto ceremony hasn't happened yet. Let's say he ultimately keeps them the same. And is Tiffany like a goner at that point, you think, Jaemeel?
Oh, she's gone, baby, gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
Gone, baby, gone.
Now, what
I'm
do we
already writing her eulogy.
Yeah.
Already? Her tombstone is getting chiseled in the back there in the other room.
Basically, Tiffany walked up to the HOH room and pleaded with Kylan to save her. And basically said, I will do anything you want. I've learned my lesson. I was wrong. I should never have, trash talked you and all this different stuff that Kylan was upset about. And she said, like, my game is your game now. I will play for you. She did everything. She threw the kitchen sink at Kylan, and Kylan doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
He's over it.
He has in his mind that he's like X is the best player and X is the one he's going to fight against at the end.
That's his destiny.
That's right.
In his
he
mind.
makes it that far.
Yeah, in his mind, right? He just, I think he decided he wasn't going to go to the end with Tiffany a while ago. I think probably when he went.
And it kind of just feels like she went rogue.
I think when she went rogue and she took that HOH from him, even though it was supposed to be Oz's HOH in terms of their alliance plan, right? But ultimately, like, those two couldn't help themselves and don't trust each other enough, clearly, but have always been afraid of being taken out by the other. So have always kind of kept each other close, and maybe too close in some cases.
Too close, a lot too close.
What did That's right, Mary. Not on the show. It didn't happen. Yeah.
I have a comment here on my spoiler side. I just want to read it to you guys. Just see if you agree with this. I think you guys will agree with some of it and disagree with some of it as well. All right. So this guy says, I think Tiffany forgot at least one important thing. BB is a game show that at its core, it is what it is, a game show. You can have all the causes you want, and good for her because she got what she wanted, but it is a game and on TV, watched by fans who mostly want to be entertained by gameplay, not listened to by messages or causes. In the middle of the summer, when TV viewership is probably at its lowest, Xavier and Kylan didn't forget about the game, and like them or hate them, they were playing it pretty well. I think Tiff was so focused on the culture goal with the cookout that she forgot about making sure she had the support for her actual gameplay within the house, and now she's most likely going to pay for that. Do you guys agree with anything that was said there?
A good portion of it I disagree with.
Okay.
I'd say I'm more inclined to agree a little bit. But on the other hand, I think Tiffany was the one from the beginning who was like, I don't know how long this cookout's going to last. I don't know if we can make it. Only one of us gets to the end. So she was like there was a royal flush, and there were other options, I think, for Tiffany at different stages. I think she ultimately settled into the cookout, and when that became the plan, then she fully embraced it. And so I guess in the case of Kylan's always been like one of the least engaged members of the cookout in terms of like all black people to the end. Like that's been less important to him, maybe compared to some of the others. So
I do agree with the one sentiment that I do think Kylan and Xavier specifically, and likewise on the opposite end, Azza and Big D have been using the cookout as a shield to get to the end because their gameplay has been pretty bad, but they've been needed in that alliance to just get people out. And I feel like Hannah and Tiffany are both really good players, and now to me they're going to pay for it because they are the ones sticking out as good players, as Jaemeel was alluding to earlier. She is a good player, and I do think that keeping Kylan and Xavier around in this house when they had multiple chances to backstab them and get them out, I think, in my opinion, was a big mistake. I think they should not have been so committed to this make sure get 6 to the cookout strong if I was Tiffany, because I think it's her undoing. I do.
Yeah, well, like if Tiffany or Hannah had won power this week, then I think it would have been Kylan and Xavier in this position instead,
Hannah
right?
couldn't. She was not eligible.
I know. But if they had, like, if at the 6, if the power was not with Kylan and it was again instead with, especially, I know Hannah couldn't be because she was the last one, but if she could be, I think that they would be taking shots at Xavier clearly, and maybe Kylan too, maybe not. Probably Xavier, right? But like that would be something. And then, is that really bad for Kylan? Maybe. Like I guess.
I just think like a lot of this game has to do with who's HOH the week before and can't play. And when Hannah got the double eviction, I went, oh boy, Tiffany's in huge trouble. Because
she has to win.
She had to win. Yeah, like no matter who won, other than Azza, Tiffany was going on the block. You know?
Yes.
And was probably getting voted out. And to me, when she had the chance to take out X when Claire went home instead, that she should have taken the shot at him then. When they had the chance to take Kylan out instead of Alyssa, they should have, but they didn't, because they were more concerned about making sure the cookout got to 6. And so they could have that moment where they all celebrated tonight. And I think it's why Tiffany's going home, in my opinion. That's why she lost.
Yeah, but they made it.
Oh, we made it.
And now you're done.
And now you're on jury. And, she had a chance to win this game, guys. And I think she kind of ruined it by not wanting to be cutthroat towards her alliance. And she should have stuck with Claire, told Claire the truth, I think.
The whole truth, you mean?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Claire knows everything that she needs to know. What more does she need to know?
Tiffany said tonight, too.
I am willing to do whatever it takes to get to the end and win.
She wasn't willing to take out X. She was willing to take out Claire. You know what I mean?
But she was under the impression that she was positioned well, and if Kylan stuck to the plan, they would have been.
What plan? The one where like he wouldn't throw it to Ozza? Like if Ozza had won the HOH? Is that what you mean?
No, I mean in terms of like the three of them were teamed up to take out X.
Who? Kyle? So Kylan, Hannah, and Tiffany. Those three. But she.
Or
why
even
did
Kylan and Tiffany, which was agreed upon even prior to that three?
I just like again? They knew Kylan wasn't one to be trusted. Like they knew this, you know, and they went ahead and kept him safe, you know,
because they were initially going to be paired up. Like prior to 2 weeks ago, it was them and X, and then X had that freak out, and then they had to pivot.
Right.
If not for the cookout.
You know, they're like, I
don't know.
It's kind of like it's kind of a cool thing, and it's great that this alliance was so successful, and now that they have to turn on each other, it is interesting to see it all play out. But
I just hope that the rest of the gameplay is exciting, because I can foresee it being excited with Tiffany being an adversary to either Kylan or X, right? But I can see this get really, really boring really, really quick with X and Kylan.
Yeah.
Right? Because X is willing to do whatever it takes, and Kylan has that mentality of like
of being second place.
I want it to be I want it to be picturesque.
Yeah.
And
he's coach.
Chances are it's not going to be
he's coach. Yeah, he's Cody Calafiore the first time.
But not even Cody the first time. Cody took Derek because he had a good relationship with Derek, not because he thought Derek was the best player. Derek was the best player.
It was that too.
He wasn't going to take Frankie because
Victoria
Frankie was the best
Victoria.
player.
Huh? He could have taken Victoria to the end, and
he could have Frankie earlier on.
Yeah, or Caleb.
Right.
But there was worry that like sitting next to Victoria at the end would be seen as like a weak move, and therefore they would.
They were never gonna award Victoria. There was no chance they were gonna reward Victoria. He made that decision.
Cody
Kylan
gave him
the money. Himself said that he hasn't talked with X about game that much during the entire season.
But is Kylan playing X? You know.
No.
I think X is playing Kylan.
X is playing Kylan.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he is everything.
No, right. I agree with you, Jaemeel, like 100%. But my problem, like, is what you just said about now we have to deal with the Kylan X Xavier show, and as much as Tiffany kind of annoys me sometimes, I was pulling for her because she was giving me the most adversarial moments to the whole cookout. You
this
know,
is what we were looking forward to.
Yeah,
but like. Look at after this week when Tiffany's obviously gone, is Hannah going to be going after X or Kylan?
She might be lost without Tiffany, but
I don't think she's going to be lost. She'll just be looking to strike whatever deal that gets her further to the end.
Yeah,
no matter what.
What does Ozza want?
Doesn't matter. She wants to lose the game.
She wants X.
She just wants X. She wants to marry X, and that's it.
Yeah, have lots of babies. And
she wants to win a competition, and she wants X. But
do what you need to do.
I deserve that. But like once again, I say, how does after this week, Ozza's gonna go after Kai.
Yeah.
Hannah is probably gonna go after Kai as well, because she's like, Kai isn't loyal to me.
Right.
Right. And then Derek F seemingly is on his side as opposed to Kylan
against him, right?
So X is once again in a better position.
He's well positioned, like despite being the biggest threat.
Which is like, what?
Yeah,
this is what I'm worried about. That like he doesn't even have to beat Kylan. One of the other three can beat him for him. Yeah, he just needs to clean up on Vito to protect himself.
Could Xavier do this with like if he was playing all stars or really good players? No.
He couldn't have done it without the cookout. The cookout was his greatest shield in this game.
Kylan also stated that he's also positioning himself to come back on all stars, like Cody.
Yeah, Yeah, because he wants to finish. Yeah, he wants to finish second place and then come back and be a sleeper and
He's
get
just
to the
trying
end
to.
again.
He's just buttering Xavier's biscuits.
Oh, okay. Now you're just trying to butter my biscuits a little bit. All
But
right.
that was Tiffany doing
I
that.
know,
right?
I know. But,
Yeah.
Which makes no sense because honestly, if they have all stars, they're not taking Kylan.
No, they're taking
They're not
Tiffany, and they're taking.
We gotta-
I wouldn't even be surprised if they brought Big D back. You know, I wouldn't
We
be
got,
surprised.
we got some
No, I think
breaking news here, although it's not completely corroborated, perhaps. Where do I keep
What
that?
Kylan? Jesus.
Breaking news.
Is Kylan just like the village bicycle? He's he's everyone's having a ride. Like what's
isn't
going on?
Isn't he pansexual?
He is Pan.
Yeah, so that means he'll get down with everybody.
Is that what pansexual means? Like,
Well, it means like you're very like fluid, I believe.
Very
That's my
fluid.
right.
Very,
Is that
very,
Pansexual is like labels don't necessarily like it could be with men, it could be with women,
not
gay
limited
people.
in sexual
it could
choice?
be non-binary men or women. It's like non-binary in general. It
Sometimes
isn't-
called polysexual.
you could be gay, you could be straight, you could be like anything. Like,
Yeah. So he's like Kirk,
yeah.
So
That's a good comparison.
so Kylan,
I would say
Kylan and Azza,
Captain
like
Jack, but
I guess they reset things. I guess like with. Can we just reset things?
I'm waiting for you. That's why I didn't even bother continuing. That's line of thought.
Is that something that we can agree to and try and reset and do?
So all that I have to look forward to is eviction night for the double eviction. That's this week is right now just complete non-starter.
Because we're losing Tiffany.
I think it's going to be straightforward.
It's been like that for a long time. It's been like that
There was
since
a
like
little bit
week
of
2.
intrigue, I guess.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
you're right. It has been like that for a bit.
Yeah, because every Sunday we kind of go, we kind of know what's going to happen Thursday, and we kind of know it, for the few days leading up to it. But yes, twice in 2 weeks, we have the double evictions. We'll be back on Sunday. Well, we're first on Wednesday and then on Thursday to talk about that. But the double eviction, I always love double eviction. I find it exciting. I love seeing the scrambling. I like even when it's predictable. I love the energy of it. Like I love
This one's going to be fun.
Yeah. And I'm sad. I would rather see Tiffany stay in this game and fight it out, but I think she's made some mistakes, and I think that also
You'll see her play in All Stars.
Yeah, I think that I think her popularity will transcend the game. I don't think she's gonna be Derek X for America's favorite player, but I think she's
not.
But I think she's well liked amongst the audience. Depending on what you're into. Anyway, so any more thoughts about what's going on in the house? Any of the dynamics? Okay, so we're coming up at 11:30. We've been on for an hour and a half, and so I think we're going to wrap it up for this evening. We already plugged all the shows, but our next one will be Monday night. Final comment here we'll give from Mary. She says, "Yes, I am sad about Tiffany because Kylan needed them to make it to 3 or 4." Well, maybe like. In terms of a better path to win for Kylan, he might still sit in the final 2 with Xavier ultimately. So, and
It's a much harder path.
It's a much harder path, and he probably loses, and he probably doesn't get that. And he might win against not Tiffany, but I think he win against Hannah.
That's if he made it past Hannah.
Yeah, but I think I think if Kylan sits next to Tiffany, he loses. I don't know if he understands that, but I think he does. I think that if he sits next to Hannah, maybe it's a toss up. It's kind of it could go either way. And I think he figures if he sits next to Big D, he almost saw it tonight with Kylan when he was talking to Big D, and he's kind of like, Big D even says it. I never won anything. I'm just getting dragged across, and Kylan's kind of he doesn't say it, but I think Kylan's thinking. Yeah, maybe I do sit next to him at the end, or maybe that's an option.
Well, I think I would be. How is he not thinking that? I could understand using X for the first couple rounds here. I don't think he can trust Tiffany. I feel like he can trust Xavier at least for a vote.
At least this week, yeah. He's willing to. That's his opinion, I guess. Ultimately, but whether that's I don't think Xavier's loyal to Kylan ultimately.
But do you think yeah? Didn't you ask this question earlier though? But like, if Xavier wins HOH in the double, does he take out Kylan? Like, I don't.
Not at this stage. I don't think the timing's right for it.
Right.
You know, I think he'll choose to probably get a Hannah first. Oh, we lose Jeff.
Did we?
He dropped off there. He's probably just connection. He'll be back in a minute.
Just kept keeping check.
Okay, so we're pretty much done for tonight. Yeah, so we'll be back Wednesday, as mentioned. Thanks for listening, subscribing, sharing, and everything else. We are going to get a clip here to say goodnight to you on. Any requests?
We didn't do the Big Blue Couch. No, we already did Big Blue Couch. What was the one we didn't do? We didn't do one.
Of the songs? Let me
Yeah.
find out.
One of the songs we didn't do.
Give me a second. Big Blue Couch. Always takes me a minute to get there.
Takes a minute.
Oh, I've heard this song.
No. It's
Oh, dear Evan Hansen.
Dear Evan Hansen. Here, we'll go out with the Big Brother 23 cast song. How about that? All right. Oh, there's Jeff. Jeff, we're signing off.
Yeah.
So here we go. Actually, no, I want this one.
Do what you gotta do. 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 Yeah.